I knew you'd be back. Welcome to Mrs. K's way of finding surface area of a cube. The three parts of our video today are for finding surface area of a cube is, first we're going to remind ourselves what is a cube. Number two, what is surface area? And last but not least, we're going to try to find the surface area of a cube. Let's remind ourselves what a cube is. Another definition that we have is that a cube is a prism with the bases and lateral faces are congruent squares. So each of these different parts of the cube are all the same squares with the same length, width, and we are able to have the same area for them. So if we take the different cube apart, and we look at it in a different way. So if we move this different cube all around, we can see it has all those different sides to it. Well, we also want to see how many different sides it has. So if we spread it apart, we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different squares that are all congruent that make up this cube. So we can actually say that this cube has a total of 6 sides. That's going to help us with our surface area in a second because we need to know the area of one of our squares in order to find the area for all 6. Now, surface area is not the same as volume. I repeat, surface area is not the same as volume. Whereas for volume, we were worried about every space in between if you filled up the cube. We are now looking about the total area of the faces and bases on the surface of a solid. So we're not concerned about what fills up the different parts of the cube. We are worried about if we wrapped it up, and if this was a box and we want to wrap it up as a present, how much wrapping paper would we need? So in order to find out the surface of the solid or of the cube, we need to unwrap it. So what we can do here is we can see that if we look around the different parts of the cube, we can see that yes, it still does have 2 bases and 4 sides. And if we unwrap it, we still now have the same 6 different parts. So we still have our 6 different faces. We had our 2 different bases, and then the rest of our faces. Now, that means that our surface area is just the total area of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different faces. So we want to try to find the area of one of these different squares, and then we can multiply it by our 6 different ones to get us our total surface area of a cube. So for our last part of finding surface area, we have our question right here. A cube has a side length of 5 inches. Find the value of the cube's surface area. So we know the information about the side length is 5 inches. So if we look at our cube right here, we know that the side length is one of these sides. So let's take this example right here. Let's make this a little darker. My side length right here is 5 inches. Now, since we are trying to find the surface area of the cube, we can use and unfold the cube to show the net. Now remember, our net is just right here. Our net is just our different squares that make up the cube that are unfolded so that they lay flat. So there's still the 6 here. And the surface area, we want to try to find the area of all 6 together. And how we can do that is using this formula. So our formula is we are going to be looking to find our surface area by finding the area of one of the square bases, and then we will be multiplying that by the number of faces. So if we look at our first part of our net, we know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can even number them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know that our number of faces happens to be 6. Now, we want to try to find the area of one of our different square bases. Now what we can do is, since we know that one side length is 5, we know that this side length right here must also be 5 inches. Since this is 5 inches, we know that these are all congruent squares, so each and every single one of these lengths happens to also be 5 inches. So if we redrew our one square, to find the area, we would have a height of 5 inches and a base of 5 inches, which means 5 times 5 would give us 25 inches squared. And that's our area for every single one of these different squares. So if we plug that into our formula, the area of the square base happens to be 25 inches squared, and we're going to multiply both 25 inches squared times 6 to give us our surface area, which happens to be 25 times 6, which is 125 inches squared. So make sure that you have your different formula written down as well as our example so that you can make sure you can find surface area anytime you want. Now, I hope you guys wrote down your formula for finding surface area of a cube. I know that Callie sure bends over backwards for finding surface area, and hopefully you will too. See you guys in class tomorrow.